Okay, welcome back, everybody. I want to do another shout out. Thank you to our sponsors. Without you, we would not be able to have had such a great AGM over the past 2 days. We'd like to thank FCC in particular for being not only just a partner, but a sponsor of this event. So we're going to break into our next session here. I'm sure a lot of you may know Marcel Hakult. He's been someone who's been a face in agriculture for some time and is now really working towards the farmer wellness program here in the province, and really proud of the work that that group is doing. And I'm actually a participant in the advisory group. So really pleased, Marcel, that you were able to join us today. So I'm going to do a brief introduction of Marcel, just for those of you who may not know him, and then we'll get into Marcel's presentation. Marcel has seen the importance of farmer well-being at the farm and family level. Through his experiences as a former hog farmer involved with Manitoba Pork Council and Keystone Agricultural Producers, and as well as the past executive director of the Canadian Agricultural Safety Association, his passion for agriculture runs deep. And he is proud to support farmers by co-founding the Farmer Wellness Program and serving as its chair. Welcome to the presentation today, Marcel. We're so happy that you can join us to talk about this really important program and the efforts that it will be undertaking. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Brenna. I think you have my slide deck, so there, it seems to work. And for the fast readers, you saw all my notes right there. So, so first of all, I want to thank CAP for giving us some time on the agenda to tell you about a program we have launched and you'll find interesting. And it ties in perfectly with your next presenter, Clara Hughes. So as was mentioned, my name is Marcel Hakult, and some of you, if we were in person, you'd recognize me from way back when, in 96 and 97. I was involved with Keystone Ag with Don Dewar at the time. So, and then the other might know me from my work with the Canadian Agricultural Safety Association and also Manitoba Pork. So enough about me. When Jerry Friesen and Kim Moffat gave this presentation at General Council last year, this was just an idea. And I'd like to just give you an update of where we're at. So have you stopped doing activities you normally enjoy? Are you feeling sad, angry, or not yourself? And have some of your friends told you that they're concerned about you? Perhaps you've been thinking about seeing a counselor for a while, but really don't know where to go or who to see. This is what the Manitoba Farmer Wellness Program is aimed at addressing. Starting in March 2022, farmers can make appointments with qualified counselors with a background in agriculture. Farmers can have up to 6 one-on-one confidential counseling sessions with a counselor that understands agriculture and can support them and meet them on their needs. So when we got together, next slide, when we got together, we decided we needed a vision. So the key words here are building hope, health, and resilience. And of course, we need a mission. Next slide. So our mission talks about what we want to do. So the things that make us different here are they're farm-focused professionals, it's no cost, and it's confidential. So next slide. Our goals were informed a lot by the University of Guelph study that you're probably all aware of. So we want to improve mental health. If you remember, 58% of those surveyed have the anxiety classification. That technically means that over half the farm population could be diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and should they go see a doctor. We wanted to increase accessibility. Anecdotal evidence shows that it's not readily available, and you don't know if there's a good fit. Some liken it to finding a good hairdresser, and you can see even how I have that issue. And we want to decrease the stigma. So 40% of farmers felt they would feel uneasy seeking professional help due to stigma. So who is this band of do-gooders that thought this was a good idea? Well, I got elected as chair and introduced myself. And probably a lot of you know Roberta Galbraith. She is the vice chair. She was past director of the Canadian Advocates for Adoption of Children. She was manager of member relations with the Manitoba canola growers and a full-time farmer. And she brings that passion to building wellness within her community and on her farm. And Roberta has taken the task of being our fundraiser with some other people. So some of your organizations might be approached by Roberta, and I'd encourage you to have a chat with her. Now, Jerry, the recovering farmer, and I guess Jerry and I met way back when we were both on Manitoba Pork. And since then, our careers are diverged and then converged. So he's acting as our treasurer, and he has a lot more of the practical experience. He's been through the whole journey of finding a solution for himself. And he also does conflict resolution and able to help others that are struggling. And then Kim was actually working with mental health field for about 30 years and worked with Manitoba Farm and Rural Northern Support Services. And she's actually currently facilitating the University of Guelph in the No Mental Health Literary training for farmers. And then new to our board is Dr. Brianna Hagan. And so she's just completed her PhD with the Ontario Vet College. And her research is aimed at better understanding of mental health among Canadian farmers. So this is who the Manitoba Farmer Wellness Program Board is. And I just want to make sure I want to recognize the advisory committee members who have played a key role in helping us start this up. So we had Deborah Van Berkel. So she was the founder of the Ontario Wellness Program and really helped us along in setting this up. Brianna was advisory committee member before she joined our board. Brooke Hayes, and she's the chair of the Mental Health Working Group with the National Farmers Union. And Mara Shaw, who's the executive director of National Farmer Union. Brenna Mahoney, and she mentioned she was part of our advisory committee. And then new is Liz Ellis Clark. And Liz is a former fundraiser for CASA, where I came from. So why are we doing this? It's really to fill a gap that has been identified by farmers who have sought out services. And it's preventative and supportive. Excuse me. So in a nutshell, what is the Manitoba Farmer Wellness Program? So we're Manitoba focused. So it's only Manitoba farmers and family members over 18. And it's a short-term counseling program. So we're hoping to cover 6 one-hour sessions with a skilled counselor. And I know the question's been asked, what if we need more than 6? And if we go by past experience, in Ontario, most of the people that have used up their free sessions will opt to continue. So just to let you know that the counseling does not stop, but the support for it right now, anyways, is limited to 6 sessions. And we've just announced this. So we've got the website up and going, but the appointments will just be available beginning of March. So right now, we're still identifying those counselors, but the goal is to have these available during the day, evenings, or weekends to accommodate the farmer unique schedules. And that can be in person, by telephone, or video chat, really depending on the farmer's preference. So so you'll be able to book your appointments via the website. There'll be a direct link with the counselor. You get to choose the one you want, and then it's confidential. And all we do is follow up and pay the counselor for the fees that she or he submits. We've been getting a lot of questions about where the Manitoba Farmer Wellness Program fits in. And I found the best way is to kind of tell you what we're not. So we're not a government program. We're not a crisis support service. So the Manitoba Farm and Rural Stress Line and Ag Talk that's being put up by Do More Ag. We're not a mental health literacy program. So in the know, talk, ask, listen. We're not mental health first aid. We're not self-help sessions. And we're not a respite service. So some of you are familiar with Au Cœur des Familles Agricoles in Quebec. And there the farmer will actually and his family will actually live in this building, and they'll work with a team out there to improve their mental health while somebody actually does their work for them on the farm. So we are not that. So next slide. So today is Bell Let's Talk Day, and what a great way to start the conversation. So I did some Googling, and Psychology Today had 5 signs that you may need help from a professional, because so if you're feeling sad, angry, or otherwise not yourself, if you're abusing drugs, alcohol, food, or sex to cope, if you've lost someone or something important to you, if something as traumatic has happened, and have you stopped doing activities you ordinarily would enjoy? So the opportunity to talk to a non-biased professional from the Manitoba Wellness Program without fear or judgment or repercussions can be life-changing. So for this to work, we need industry support. We're farmers, Jerry and I are close enough to farming that we just want to fix things. So we want to raise enough money to help 125 farmers, and we're hoping that the demand is not more than that. If it is, it's up to us to find the money. But right now, that's kind of our goal. We really want to follow the KISS principle. So really, all we want to do is provide a mechanism for farmers and their family members over 18 to connect with counselors. And our job is just to manage and promote the program, raise funds, and pay out the session costs with the counselors. So I guess, what can you do for us? I think if I had my wish, I'd ask you to get the word out. We have a social media handle. I think this works for both Facebook and Twitter, and that's @M. We couldn't put a B in there because we ran out of letters. Anyways, so help us identify potential funders and give us feedback. Does this make sense, what we're doing? We're still doing the final touches on it, but give us feedback on this, if this works. So really, the take-home message is in March of 2022, you can go to this website, manitobafarmerwellness.ca, and our goal is to provide 6 free confidential one-on-one sessions to farmers and family members over 18. So I want to thank everybody who's helped us with this journey, but especially the Manitoba Farmers with Disabilities. Bob Guest had mentioned that, that the provincial associations were struggling, and actually the Manitoba Farmers with Disabilities actually closed or disbanded, and they had some extra funds. And when we approached them, just through a conversation, their board thought that this would be a good use of their funds, is to give them some seed capital for us to start up this program, to build a website, etc. And then I would be remiss if I wouldn't also mention Galbraith Farms. So they have also helped us out financially. So right now we have a website, we're fundraising, and we're identifying counselors. So that's a bit of an update of where we're at. Check us out. And wow, did I go fast? We're ready to take some questions.
You're almost as fast as I am, Marcel. I'm usually a very quick speaker, but really appreciate you working with us today and speaking with us and updating about what you're doing. I think this is so incredibly important. And as I previously already mentioned, you know, we get a lot of outreach as CAP about what are resources, what's available to producers. And I think we can all agree, and which is why I've wanted to get involved in supporting you through the advisory group, is that we want to have a place that farmers can go where they can get that support. So thank you very much. So let's just see if there's any questions from the group. I'm just going to go to the chat function. Okay, so we have a question from someone in the audience. Is the target about $60,000? Is that correct?
So we've budgeted for a year of activities. Our big number is 100 grand. So we figured with 100 grand, we have enough money for supporting 125 farmers, plus some admin stuff. Right now, we're trying to get enough commitments by March. So we don't need the money in the bank, but it sure be nice to have some commitments by March. so we can be functional. So that's why I mentioned that Roberta and her team, very small team, it will be reaching out to identify those commodity groups, ag organizations, business, anybody who deals with farmers and cares about the farmers' well-being. They're welcome to support us. A bit of, I guess, in the weeds. We are not a formal charity yet. We're just a grassroots nonprofit. And really, we figured, again, in the spirit of keeping it simple, we're just going to see if this worked. And if it does, then we'll take the next steps, developing a longer strategic plan, getting all that other stuff done. But right now, just wanted to get it off the ground and running.
Thanks, Marcel. We appreciate giving that clarity. And I think one of the things you just mentioned is having that longer term plan. And we have another question here that kind of fits into that is, how do you see yourself collaborating with other help groups or some of those organizations that you mentioned that you are not? How would you propose, or what do you see yourself with collaborating with some of those groups?
So we've put, I think, all the resources that would be available to farmers on the website, the Manitoba Farmers, and we've reached out to those other organizations just to let them know what we're doing. So, for example, 211.ca. So we've just, I know quite a few people phone them for resources because my son works for them. And so we're listing our resources there. We want to make sure that the Manitoba Farm Rural Northern Stress Line, when they're talking to farmers, when it does come up, they can say, you know what, we've got a great organization where you can get support. So, and we've also had good discussions with the provincial government. So with both the Ministry of Agriculture and the new ministry with mental health. They know what we're trying to do, so they're aware of it and they're excited about it. But right now they're staying out of the way and letting us go ahead.
And actually what's great is on Twitter, Minister Derek Johnson has actually just put out some resource tweets for mental health and wellness here in the province, and the Farmer Wellness Program was mentioned. So that was really, really great to see. So we actually have another question. It was more so of clarity, and I think both of us here, Marcel, can help answer this. It was, thought we were about to help Manitoba farmers with disabilities. Marcel indicated that they were closed down. So they are closed down, but the organization that is being pulled together is the Canadian Farmers with Disabilities. So it's a national organization. So the provincial, I'd say, chapters of those that were originally in existence are no longer able to get that financial support. That's what was outlined in Bob's presentation. But the goal right now is to get the funding in place before March 31st to allow for the match dollars through the partnership program with the federal government to be able to have the national organization to support the good work that they're doing. Marcel, did you want to add anything in there to help clarify that further?
Just that in my prior position, I dealt quite a bit with the Canadian Farmers with Disabilities Registry, and the big challenge, and Bob mentioned it, is although the government, in principle, wants to support their efforts, their peer support and all that, just the constraints that are there to receive funding by the federal government makes it extremely difficult. These are volunteers that want to help. They're not fundraisers, they're not program managers, and that just doesn't work well with the government model as it stands. So I really encourage Bob with his initiative to keep on going, because really he has not had a lot of support from a lot of people for quite a few years now. And we're still seeing farmers getting hurt, and he's right. If a farmer, part of farming has a lot to do with the identity of who you are in many cases, and if you get hurt and are not able to farm, your wellness takes a hit. So wouldn't it be nice if we could have a national organization to offer peer support to the farmers, saying, you know what, there's all these adaptations you can make to your farm to continue farming. And then if you're from Manitoba, you can also reach out to a counselor who can help you, guide you on that journey also.
We have a really great question, Marcel, that's come through the Q&A, and this is something we're about to have Clara Hughes join us, and this is actually some of the questions what I was hoping to ask her as well. Is it's one thing for some to come forward to take a course, but what are other ways to help people who don't come on their own? I think that's a fantastic question.
It probably is, because I can't answer that one. I'm not a mental health professional, and I know Jerry and or Kim might actually be on this call too. They may be able to answer that.
Yeah, Kim, I saw that you were here. Are you able to raise your hand and we can get you?
Kim and Jerry are both able to talk. I have unmuted them both.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear from them. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Brenna. Hi. Could you repeat the question for me, Brenna, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Just hold on one second. It's one thing for some to come forward and take the course, but what are some other ways to help people who won't come on their own?
That's a good question, because not everybody feels safe publicly going to a course where they're being identified. And so that's part of, I think, the appeal for people who might consider using this program is it's confidential. What they're going to say to us isn't going to be shared with anybody else. People can be as open as they feel comfortable, share what they need to share. For some people, they may be just needing that extra support. So they might not even want to do any problem solving. They might just need to be able to talk to somebody outside of their situation. Other farmers, they might be looking for really specific kinds of strategies that might help them to kind of fix the problem that they're in. So people will be looking for different things when they access this program. And, hopefully the counselors will be able to sit with them. They already have a farming background, so they have that piece. They understand the culture. They understand where people are coming from and what's at stake for farmers. So people don't have to kind of explain that part of it, and just be a resource, a place to be able to talk, feel really heard and really listened to.
Thank you so much, Kim. And I just want to make note that this is exactly why, for someone like myself who's passionate about understanding mental illness and mental wellness and how to support producers, especially because it's such a challenge, is why the Farmer Wellness program is unique and exciting for us here in the province. That peer-to-peer, that understanding in agriculture, that was really at the root of what you guys were doing. Jerry, did you want to add anything from your perspective?
Thanks, Bren. I appreciate that. And I think Kim probably basically answered it, but I always, when I hear a question like that, reflect back on my own journey. And I know certainly my wife and my kids, as much as I thought I was hiding things from them, could certainly have used some counseling themselves. And so I think this is a great program for something like that, and helping their own needs, but then also learning different tricks on how to support their loved one who is on their own journey, and actually helping and pushing them. And that's what I've needed in the past, is that those family members being able to push me into seeking further help. And so I think it can be a really valuable resource for those loved ones as well.
Thank you so much for that, Jerry. And it's great for you to be able to share your personal experience. And we really appreciate that on the call, which is, part of where we want to go as CAP. And we're looking forward to feedback from producers of how CAP can support resources more, providing resources and hosting even workshops and other tools. As was mentioned, what else, if people cannot participate or don't feel comfortable, what else can we provide as support? Okay, we actually have a comment here from one of the participants today. Is Do More Ag Foundation Canada is holding a free online workshop for Starbuck in the area on February 7th and 8th. It's called Talk, Ask, Listen. And actually CAP has hosted a few of those sessions ourselves, and they're fantastic, and is geared to farmers and people in the ag community. And I think that's a really great element to highlight, is that there are, as Marcel has noted, there are other people working in this space. And it is about building a strong community and finding something that works for those particular farmers, and participating in that workshop, I think, would be really, really great. Are there any other questions, as we still have a few minutes left with Marcel, and I think this is a really important topic for us here in Ag. Marcel, you know, maybe while we're waiting for questions, I would just ask, maybe for even yourself, you know, where did this really start for you? If you're comfortable sharing, you know, where did your passion for how do we, you know, cement farmer wellness in this province, like where did that begin for you?
Probably a bit of a sad story. It was a bit of an aha moment when I was actually executive director with CASA. There was a piece on the news about a farmer, a hog farmer, I guess, who had neglected his animals and just getting raked over the coals in the media. And then I thought about it. I said, why are we vilifying this farmer? This is a cry for help. And he was not able to reach out. What would have happened if he would have been able to reach out? Could we have averted that? So it really put me on a totally different axis, you know, about how you know, this farmer was out of his depth and nobody was there to see the signs, and there was no support there. So and also within the Agricultural Safety Association, when we were collecting statistics about all the fatalities, you'd often hear part of the reasons why the incident happened. I was in a hurry. I was thinking about something else. So obviously your mind wasn't on the task. So again, part of this whole effort is to be supportive of farmers and to provide another way to help and pay it forward. Farming has been good to me. The industry has been good to me. So this is my way of helping pay it forward for the farmers in Manitoba.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important to highlight where it kind of begins with people and, you know, that recognition of our peers. One of the things for me of why I love agriculture, and I'm really proud to be working with an organization like CAP, is that farmers are a really unique group of people who are so passionate about what they do. It's very personal. It's a lifestyle. This isn't a 9-to-5 job where they can just check out. This is something that's really, really personal. And with that comes all kinds of challenges and also lots of positives too. But I think that this is where once we have a great community already. So how do we now support those within that community? So really want to thank you, Marcel, for sharing with us today, for highlighting the Farmer Wellness Program. It is Bell Let's Talk Day. We have Clara Hughes with us today. I feel like this is so lucky for us here at CAP in the Manitoba farmer community to have these conversations.